thanks for joining. This is Doug Brunke, and we're going to be just spending a few minutes talking about Japanese food. And the there's some good news coming with Global Chamber, and we've been kind of mentioning this along the way that we're creating some communities for members to jump into. And Christina, for your information, one of them is around cross-cultural, and we're trying to figure out how broad to make it, because there's kind of like localization, globalization, cross-cultural, global mindedness. There's like a series of things, and whether we combine that all into one or we split it out a little bit, we're still kind of going through that. We went through a list actually earlier today, and there are some obvious ones we're going to do, but that one we said we were going to be doing a little bit more thinking about it. And why I was thinking about it was less about that topic, but more about virtual dining. We've been doing virtual dining programs, starting with the Global Chamber Denver chapter, who did them in person. And then some of the other chapters do those as well. But then during COVID, we started doing virtual dining, where we were getting specific cuisines and talking about them and sharing them. And ideally, like one of the most famous ones was for the Philippines, where we had our Global Chamber Executive Director for Manila talking about the different aspects of the food of the Philippines. And then we had the Trade Commissioner for the Philippines in Los Angeles on the US side, who then kind of counteracted and also shared his own perspective about the Philippine cuisine. And we talked about how Philippine cuisine isn't as well known, certainly as Italian or others, and what the business aspects of it. And so there was a business component, there was a food component, there was a sharing and camaraderie component, and there was a cross-cultural component. I don't think, based on what I see so far with this call, that we'll have the same type of dynamics. And hopefully maybe later this year we can do another one. I would love to do another one on Japan, because we should be able to create the same dynamic. So Chang-woo, I'd like to introduce, who's put together a presentation on it. Chang-woo is a project manager for Global Chamber. He's an intern this summer with Global Chamber. He's a student and graduate from South Korea. He is studying international trade, and he has a specific focus on Japan, of all things. And so he seems like a really good person to be able to explain Japanese food. I bet he could explain Korean food quite well. Our Korean food virtual dining was also amazing, done by Dr. Wonsak Yun, who's our executive director there. But now, today, we were going to have a Korean explaining Japanese food to a community of mostly Americans, and Terry is French, and so we'll see what happens. Chang-woo, thank you for putting together a presentation. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and then we'll process it if that's okay.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you guys see my screen now?
I think we saw it, and now we see it fully. Yes, and you're breaking up a little bit. Try speaking again, and we'll see if it works.
Can you hear my voice?
Now we can. Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna start it right now. Hello, everyone. My name is Chang-woo Lee at Global Chamber. Today I'm gonna introduce Japanese food. First, I'm gonna talk about geographical characteristics in Japan. Japan is a country with a lot of delicious food, and geographically, they also have plenty of seafood. And Japan is divided into 4 islands, which is Shikoku, Hokkaido, Honshu, and Kyushu. Because of the land is shaped like thin and long, environmental differences vary by region. Especially, I want to introduce Kanto and Kansai regions. These are 2 most important areas in Japan. First, Kanto food is also called as Edo Cuisine. Edo is the former name of Tokyo and is characterized by its strong taste. They put sugar or dark soy sauce in and is mainly used of foods like sushi and eel rice bowl, which is unagi don in Japanese, and buckwheat noodles and tempura. And Kansai cuisine is light in taste and practical. Representative Kansai regions include Osaka and Kyoto. Fish dishes are representative in Osaka, and Kyoto mainly serves dried fish and vegetable dishes. There is also a city named Kobe, where it's very popular for its beef, known as Kobe-gyu. Next, I want to introduce representative foods for each major cities in Japan, and also differences of ramen style between major cities. First city is Tokyo, which is capital of Japan, and Tokyo is the birthplace of ramen and has a long history and tradition. After the 1950s, as ramen spread throughout Japan, the ramen culture in Tokyo also developed. Tokyo ramen is also called soyu ramen. Soyu means soy sauce in Japanese and is based on soy sauce. The broth is made by mixing soy sauce and chicken or pork bones. And of course, there is a lot of famous foods in Tokyo, but among those, these three foods represent Tokyo: sushi, soba, and unagi-don. Next city is Osaka. They eat ramen named Kamakura ramen. They have clear broth made of chicken and little amount of soy sauce and not strong taste. Another characteristic is the vegetables in the cover the ramen bowl. A lot of vegetables. There is also a very famous food named takoyaki, as you guys all know, and that represents Osaka. Takoyaki is a combination of the words taco, which means octopus, and yaki, mean grilled. It was developed in Osaka, and Osaka is a coastal city where octopus is more commonly caught than squid. And it is currently one of the most popular food in Japan. The next city is Fukuoka, which is located in Kyushu Prefecture. And Kyushu ramen is called as tonkotsu ramen. And this soup flavored with pork bone broth, and there is a famous franchise originated in Fukuoka named Ichiran Ramen. And it was established in 1960s. And we can say that this Ichiran Ramen represents ramen in Fukuoka. And the representative food in Fukuoka is motsunabe. This food is also known as the sumo players like this food because it has a lot of calories and nutrition. And it is made of by boiling small intestines and cabbage and boil all together. It was made by gathering discarded tripe with soy sauce and boiling it when there was food deficiency after the Pacific War. The next city is Hiroshima, and this city is famous for shio ramen. Shio means salt in Japanese, so this ramen is based in salt and decorated with the local specialties such as oysters, bamboo shoots, and seaweed. Its broth is light and salty. And Hiroshima has the largest production of oysters in Japan. And you can taste fresh oysters all year round. And Miyajima, the name of the city in Hiroshima, also holds an oyster festival every February. And the last city is Hokkaido. Hokkaido's ramen is known as miso ramen. It has stronger taste than that of other regions of Japan, which is taste of miso. It also has corn as garnish, which is specialty products in Hokkaido. And the representative dish in Hokkaido is Chinggis Khan. It is Japanese style grilled with lamb. It is one of the representative foods of Hokkaido along with salmon and hairy crab. It is a Hokkaido dish made by grilling lamb with onions in a special pot. And Hokkaido is also famous for dairy products such as milk and cheese, and also fresh seafoods because of its geographical characteristic. And finally, I want to introduce Wagyu. And there is three best Wagyu in Japan. The first one is Kobe-gyu, and second one is Masusaka-gyu, and third one is Omi-gyu. First, about Kobe-gyu, among the high-end brand Tajima beef, only high-quality meat that has passed the most strength standards can be shipped as Kobe beef. So this means really premium beef. And in 2009, it was selected as one of the 9 most expensive ingredients in the world, along with caviar, foie gras, and white truffle. Then Masusaka-gyu is cow raised in Mie Prefecture. It is characterized by dense marbling and soft meat and sweet aroma, and is also so famous that is saying, when it comes to steak, it is Masusaka beef. This means Masusaka beef is really famous for steak. The last one is Omi-gyu. It is premium beef with a history about 400 years. It is the oldest beef in Japan, raised in Shiga Prefecture, home in Lake Biwa, the largest lake in Japan. The characteristic of Omi beef are its dense meat texture and savory oil taste. Thank you. This was Chang Lee, and it is my email. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Changu. Any comments? Or how familiar are you guys with Japanese food? Anything that he either left out, or anything that you'd like to add, or any experiences that you'd like to share?
May I comment, please?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, Changwoo, thank you. I loved how you started the presentation, orienting us on the different regions in Japan. And so I was assuming that the differences in flavors on the ramen and other things are related to production and what regional production of foods and whatever they're centered around. I mean, because I know a bit about Japanese food just from various things that I've read, and I like the blue zones, and looking at the intensive vegetable demand in the diet, and I think that's great. Are you seeing this intensive vegetable demand, and is it regional or what in Japan?
You mean the food made by vegetables in Japan?
Yeah, is it specific to region, and do
Oh,
most
yeah.
Yeah.
I know that in Osaka, no, in like Kansai region, there's a food made of a lot of vegetables and flour and like grilled together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, with fresh vegetables.
Okay, that sounds great, because it's fascinating, the documentaries that I've seen on it, the visuals of this, and you've made me hungry. I don't think I'm gonna go to Cotton Bottom, Doug. I think I'm gonna order Japanese.
I think an example of that, and kind of going back and handling your question too in a couple ways, and interested, Changwoo, your experience with this. But one of the, like, if we look just at ramen and the base material for ramen, where in Fukuoka it would be pork based, and you've got is it chicken or fish based in Tokyo? So you've got fundamental broth differences, and part of what he's described there are how they're centered around these fundamental differences. And my own, by the way, my own preference is Fukuoka ramen because I like pork base and I like the garlic that they use, which would not be at all a Tokyo style ramen. So there's fundamental differences geographically. And so I love the way you laid it out there. So I think that's one comment, and perhaps to address your question. And then specifically the vegetables, one of the most, to me, illustrative ways of the way Japanese view food and vegetables is in Takayama, which is, I think it's maybe certainly over an hour out of Nagoya in the mountains toward Nagano, I believe. And it's, I remember going to the market there, and they have mostly mountain roots and like mountain vegetables, and every food they take like one mountain vegetable or root that you've never heard of, and they prepare it 100 ways, and they almost worship it. So it shows up on your plate as something you've never had this one before, and then they provide it in so many different ways. And I think if there's anything, any characteristic of Japanese food that to me seems very unique and different versus the steak and potatoes of Americans, or even to some extent the bulgogi and the kalbi of Korean food, I think in kimchi you see a lot of variety in Korea, but in Japan they take the level of complexity of one material and how they then compare it and bring it together with other materials together in ways maybe only rivaled by France, and probably way more than France.
Wow. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the additional information, Doug.
Well, and Terry is on the call and he's French. So, I mean, my French to me is not anywhere near as complex, even though the French are known for great food and they have great food. But Japanese food to me is just so much, honestly, better, in the sense of so much more complexity, so much more variety. It's just at a different, it's at a different level. But if you pick two countries that have amazing food, it'd certainly probably be Japan and France. So,
yeah, Japanese food is my second favorite food after Korean food too.
How would you reply to the complexity issue? Because I think I've told you about that guy who I showed up. I've been to Korea a few dozen times, and the first guy I met was a bulgogi guy, and I thought bulgogi was the only food in Korea. And I mean, it's good, and I love bulgogi, but there's the layer of complexity in Japan seems to me so much higher. So the Koreans get to it through kimchi, I think, right? There's a lot of different kinds of kimchi.
Yeah, there's a lot of different kimchis.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Well, I thought your presentation was really good, and so thank you for pulling that together. Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, please, because my daughter just returned from Japan, and and I've always looked at the homogenization of of the world with American-based food chains and so forth. And it was interesting. She said that even 7-Eleven had it was like gourmet 7-Eleven. I'm like, I would not eat food from 7-Eleven. She said the 7-Eleven in Japan are a whole different story. So I think the value of food and the worth of the whole Epicurean experience seems so much higher than it is here.
Yeah. No question. Chang-woo, is that what your experience as well?
Yeah, when I visit Japan, I was surprised when I go to the convenience stores because there was really a lot of foods. Yeah, I thought in Korea there's a lot of food in 7-Eleven too, but Japan there was so many foods there. Yeah. And the quality was good.
The variety and quality, the attention to detail is just really off the charts. No question about it.
That's true.
So There's just kind of a whole process that incorporates food into the business process that, I think happens everywhere, but in Japan, it's a whole nother level. The routine of kind of a normal salaryman of having dinner with your coworkers or clients and then going to a second place and going to a third place, the layers that and the opportunities for people to break down barriers and to be able to open up and talk about business and move business forward. It goes to probably, Christina, the cross-cultural aspects where Americans are more open and direct and just don't need to go through that whole process. And yet the Japanese often use it to be able to get to the point where they're more transparent and more open and honest about kind of the either personal or business relationships.
Oh, I think that's great. I mean, you can see the results that opens a whole other conversation in terms of health issues. So I think it's great. Thank you. Thank you for the great info.
Well, health, good and bad health, because the food is quite good, right? Typically, and in terms of the health, to have to be able to drink, to be able to get kind of these things to happen. I'm not sure how that really helps too much because that takes its toll on people, and you see that when you go late night in Tokyo and you see people even still having drank a lot. One of the things they do to counteract that is they have a variety of health drinks that for hangovers, and there was actually one of them that my daughter started drinking of mine. It's called Aronoman C. And I always loved Aronoman C, and I didn't really look at the ingredients, but one of the ingredients, this is one of those drinks that they drink in the morning to kind of wake up. And it turns out, there's a high level of caffeine in there. And so not right for, a 4 or 5 year old young girl. So no more Aronoman C for her. But that is that's historically certainly part of their culture, good or bad. Well, so I just so that we can kind of maybe put a bow on this, Chang-Woo, any other comments that you wanted to share? Any other thoughts about either the food in Japan or the culture in Japan that you'd like to share?
I think that's it.
Okay. I would say when you think about good Japanese food in Phoenix, there's a couple places that are quite good that we found to be quite good. In Salt Lake, it's been too long to remember a good Japanese place. But there's got to be a good place. Christina, have you been to a good place recently there?
I like Kyoto.
Kyoto. Oh my God.
It's not new. It was here when you were here, Doug.
Oh my God. I remember that one. Yeah, like where is that? No, that's up in the avenues, right? Over there.
No, this was not.
Temple.
You're on track. It's around 9th, and I can't remember how far south. I don't know.
Okay.
Gary, do you remember what? I can drive there, but I don't know the address.
That was my wife's brother's favorite place. So yeah, that one, that's not traditional Japanese.
No, it's not. That was, I don't know. I need something better. That's why I came here, to learn the real stuff, not the Americanization of Japanese food. So I've got some great information that takes me well beyond Kyoto.
Yeah, I'm going to take it on as a personal mission to get re-upped on what Salt Lake ones are. There have been some good Japanese restaurants, and so I'll do some research and see what the latest ones are, and talk to the Japanese community here, and almost as good as a Cotton Bottom burger. We'll figure something.
Okay, I do have some other things, and you want some Thai places, I'm your gal. I'll tell you some great Thai places, but
okay.
So let me know what you find out. Okay.
Yeah, no, Salt Lake is known for international food, right? There's a lot of good lot of great food. So Bombay House, I think we always used to go to for Indian food, and actually that's actually a pretty good place, really nice. So off of Foothill, I think. So
Good memory.
well, our daughter lived right nearby there, so we got
Okay.
takeout when she was going to the U. So we went to the Bombay House quite a bit, takeout and in person, right off of Foothill is where she lived. So well, thanks everybody for taking the time today. Have a good evening. Sorry we didn't get more folks coming in. We'll do a better job on that next time, and watch for those communities, because I think when we get this virtual dining community up and running in the next few days, I think you're going to really enjoy it, because there's also going to be a foodie conversation. So those folks that are foodies will be able to come into a community and share information, and hopefully share specifics like good restaurants and bad in different parts of the world. So I think you're going to have fun with it. There'll also be a Salt Lake community as well, and so we'll get that community up in the next week or so as well. Thanks for jumping in, Christina.
My pleasure. I learned a lot. It's fun. Now I'm gonna go Google or Yelp, I guess, the Japanese restaurants that I need to explore here in Salt Lake City starting tonight. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing, and let's compare notes.
Sorry. Christina, just joined. We have a wonderful Japanese community in Utah. We just had the Tapingo festival. We have some sake. We have some Japanese food in my fridge. But yes, we have restaurants. We have a vibrant community. There's a project called Recreate Little Tokyo in downtown Salt Lake. Look at the Japanese section of the state of Utah.
I found it. It's called Takashi. That's the best place. It's still there.
Okay. Thank you.
It's
both.
18 West Market. That's the one, Terry.
Yeah.
There's one.
Thank you.
There's one called Kaze Sushi Bar. I think I remember that one as well. It's on kind of like that weird alley thing by the Salt Palace, and Takashi is down there as well. But I remember Takashi. It's really quite good, and it's still there. So that would be one where you'd be able to get, I think, some probably pretty good food. There's one called Azora Izakaya. It's on 21st South, 10th East. That one looks good on paper. I've not been to that one, but it looks good, and it's well reviewed.
Okay. Awesome. I'm gonna check them out.
That's closer to you.
I didn't get into the sushi bars. We do have quite a few good sushi bars, so that's a different conversation too.
Exactly. Yeah, Salt Lake would not be your place to get good fresh sushi. So that I would recommend kind of sticking with some of the other things like the ramens and the okonomiyaki that the Changru talked about, and some of the other kind of specialties. Things like hairy crab in Hokkaido. I don't think you can get hairy crab very many places, even in Tokyo, because I ended up buying one of those, and it costs like $50 for one crab. And I had it packaged up and brought it back with me to Tokyo. Though there are specialty things like that are very hard to get, but the normal things, and a lot of the normal things that Changru talked about, you should be able to get at Takashi for sure.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your presentation, Changwoo.
Oh, thank you, Jian. Appreciate it. Take care.